In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to create a report in Access in Design View. So this is starting from a blank slate and building a report exactly the way that you want it. So these steps are a good method to follow so that you are efficient and have sort of the best structure created possible for the report. So the first step is to determine how you want the report to look and what it is you're looking for so that you can plan it out and decide on your data. The second step is to either choose a table that you're going to use if that's what you're building a report on, or if you're just looking for a subset of your data, then you'll build a query with the appropriate criteria and save the query so that you can use it in your report. Then we're going to go to Create, Report Design, and it's very important to add this record source immediately. So the record source is the table or query that you are basing your report on. So I am going to build a report on the entire products table, and I want to group that report based on the categories of the product. So my idea here is that I have lots of products, 77 different products, and they're broken into 8 different categories. So I want to see all the products that we have in our database, and I want them to be grouped by their category. So that's my plan. I'm going to go to Create, Report Design, and this gives us this blank slate that's our starting point to work from. And so this time I'm going to open my property sheet, and I want to make sure that I have the report object selected, which is what is selected by default, but just depends what you're doing. So these are the properties for this entire object. And so either on the Data tab or the All tab, I have the record source. I'm going to click and choose the Products table as my record source. So all all tables and queries that we have will show up in this list. So I'm choosing my products table, and the next step is to decide on basically the headers and footers, and there's 3 levels of headers and footers that we can have: page, report, and then our group as well. So we want to decide what headers and footers we want and then set that appropriately. So the page header and footer are turned on by default, and I like to just right click, and you can turn those off and on, as well as the report header and footer. So for this report I'm going to put everything on just to demonstrate how it works, but you have the choice. The only catch is the header and footer come as a combo. So say you want a page header but not the footer, you'll just size this section up so that there's no space there, and essentially then you won't get a page footer displayed. Anything that you have here is going to take up space on your page. So if this is, about an inch section, it's going to take that much space on the page. I encourage you to decide on your sorting and grouping now before you start putting fields in. So I said I want to group my product report based on category. So I right-clicked and chose sorting and grouping, and then down in the bottom I'm going to add a group. When you're grouping, you're generally grouping on a field that has some repetition, so that you actually have groups, right? If you group on fields that have unique values, you're not going to get you're going to have lots of groups. You're going to have all individual items. So you're not going to get grouping, essentially. So I've turned on Group by Category ID, and then you can essentially just consider each item in this list and how you want to handle it. So the only thing I'm going to change here right now is I am going to put a footer section. So I've got it grouped on category ID with a footer section. And I'm going to close this for now and just show you I've now got 3 header sections and 3 footer sections. Now I'm going to click up on the menu here, add existing fields, and because I've chosen the products table as my record source, I am going to have the fields from that table sort of available right here, and I'm going to add everything except category ID, and I'm choosing these by holding down my control key and clicking. And so I'm going to drag these into the detail section. But category ID I'm going to put in the category ID header. So the idea being it'll show the category once. It'll say, for example, category 1, which would be like, well, I'll just look. Category 1 is beverages. So it'll show category 1, and then I'll see the records for all my beverages. And then I'll have anything that I put in the category footer, page footer, report footer, etc. I'm going to insert labels just to demonstrate the different sections of the report. So when you're working in design, this section here has our different options for the design of the report. So I'm going to click the Design tab, and the 2 main controls that we put in are text boxes and labels. So if we look down here, the label is this item that just says category ID. The text box is the one that's going to display the data from the table. So if I look at this now in report view, my label is just a label. My text box is representing the data from the table. So just to show you the different sections, I'm going to include label objects and just label each section of the report. So this is the report header, and I'm going to label all the rest. Okay, so I've gone ahead and just labeled and colored the different sections of the report. So I've got the report header and footer in blue, page header and footer in pink, and group header and footer in green, as well as these label items just to show what's going on. So now I'm going to go, and I'm working in design view. This is where you can really do anything in terms of building and changing your report. I'm going to go to report view, which is essentially our sort of finalized view, and you can see what happens here in report view. I see my report header, page header, and group header. And then I'm going to scroll down, and whenever I get to the end of this group, I should see a group footer, and then a new group header starting category 2. So I'll just have group headers and footers throughout the report. And then at the end, I'm going to have my report footer. It only shows up once at the very end of the report. Not the best looking report right now, I admit. And I'm seeing the page footer here. So the other view that we have is our print preview. And actually, this is an important thing to watch, is to watch your page width. So mine is too wide, obviously, and I'll have to fix that. So now I'll get a better look at how the pages are laid out. So I've got report header once at the beginning, page header and footer at the top and bottom of every page, and then my group header. And you can see I've just slightly overextended the side of the page, so I'll have to fix that. And then I'm going to go to my very last page. So it's a 58-page report right now. Needs some cleaning up. But that's where my report footer shows up once at the very end of the report. So back to my design view, I can just narrow my page up to fix that. So this does equate to the side of the page, and hopefully then I won't have all those blank pages, and you can see the records with the green group footers when I come to the end of a group. The last view we have is the layout view, where I can go ahead and just do some sizing and formatting of objects while I see my data. So this is just meant to be a label to show that this is the detail section of the report. And by default, Access puts an alternating back color for records. So it's going white, gray, white, gray. And we can change that in the properties, and we can basically change almost anything in the properties of any object. There's all kinds of different properties that we can change. So back to my my plan. I've added my fields to the report. I definitely need to work on some formatting now, and I can add additional like titles, pictures, graphics, whatever. I can add calculated fields, which I will demonstrate in another video. And just always check your display and your print preview if you're planning on printing a report to make sure it's fitting the page size appropriately. I'm going to, as always, save my object as report products by category, just to indicate that I've grouped it by category. Now I can go ahead and make it look a little better.